Hi there, my name's Nicola and I work for the Transform in the Trent Valley Landscape Partnership Scheme. The Triple TV scheme is led by Staffordshire Wildlife Trust, and today I'm going to be chatting to Ellliott Lancaster, who's a trustee for Staffordshire Wildlife Trust. So we're going to find a bit more about what a Board of Trustees does, how to become a trustee, and who can become a trustee as well. So thanks for joining us, Ellliott. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, of course. So my name's Elliott. I'm a trustee of Staffordshire Wildlife Trust, and I've just been doing the role over a year now. And the fantastic news is that anybody can become a trustee as long as you meet the Charity Commission's guidelines, which is, of course, like most people. And the way in which I got involved was through lots of my nature conservation work at Keele University. And I was spotted by Staffordshire Wildlife Trust, and they invited me across to actually see more about what they were doing and how I would like to get involved, and it was kind of a natural process.
Oh, fantastic, that's brilliant. So would you be able to first of all explain a little bit about what a Board of Trustees does? Why are they important? And why did you want to get involved a little bit more?
So what a Board of Trustees does is it sets the overall strategy for the organisation, so it's critically important. So it looks at this chief executive officer and holds them to account over the aims and objectives of the organisation, as well as making sure that we meet any legal requirements as well to keep the governance of the organisation performing at best practice.
Brilliant. Yeah. So when you were invited to find out a little bit more, what drew you to the role, and what made you think, yes, I do want to get involved in the board?
Well, since I was little, I've always been interested in nature. It's something that I have to say my parents quite instilled in me from such a young age. And since my home was actually based in Derbyshire before I came to university in Staffordshire, I've been to a lot of reserves in Derbyshire, and that's kind of where I piqued my interest. So when Staffordshire Wildlife just started talking to me about the opportunities available, it seems like a no-brainer to me. It's something that I've always been interested in, and it seemed as a way for me to give something back to the community.
Yeah, that's fantastic, brilliant. So you were obviously invited to find out a little bit more and invited to become a trustee. But for other people, if they're interested in getting involved, what's the process to become a trustee for somewhere like Staffordshire Wildlife Trust?
So the fantastic news is that we're always looking for trustees. So if this is something that interests you, then the best way I'd say is actually get in touch with us directly, because we do usually put out statements saying whether or not trustee positions are available, and we do actively look for trustees. But if this is something that interests you, please get in touch with us, and we'll be more than happy to discuss this at any time.
Brilliant. So is there like an application form, an interview process?
It's actually quite informal, which is something that I was quite impressed about, because actually I appreciate for some people it might be quite difficult, quite tense in order to go through a formal interview process, and we don't want that to be a barrier at all.
Great. Oh, that's really good to hear. That's great. Excuse me. And how much time and work commitment is there in being a trustee? So how many meetings do you have to go to, kind of how many hours a week as a rough estimate?
Wow, so it actually depends on yourself, because we do have a board meeting which is usually a couple of hours most months, and then of course there's working groups you can get involved in and wider volunteering opportunities. So it's kind of up to the individual in terms of how much they want to be involved.
Right.
And actually I think that's fantastic, because that means you can specialise in areas which interest you as well.
Yeah, excellent. So if you've got more time, you can spend more time, and if not, then you can still get involved even if you've got just a little bit of time spare.
Exactly, and one of the things that I was really interested in was actually youth engagement and education, and actually making sure that everybody, no matter what their age is, actually has the opportunity to get involved in these projects and actually understand what Staffordshire Wildlife Trust is doing. So one of the projects that I think I worked with yourself on was actually the youth debate, which was very successful. We had schools all over the county participating in that. So it's not just necessarily pure conservation work that we do. We do a whole range of things as well.
Yeah, that was a really good event, wasn't it? Fantastic.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
So you mentioned that anyone can become a trustee. Is there a minimum age? Is it 18 and
Yes,
above?
It is, yes.
Yeah.
That's based on the Charity Commission guidance.
Yeah, fantastic. But if young people wanted to give their views on the trust, could they get in touch with you and give their opinions, and you'd be able to take that to the board as well?
Yes, of course. I'm one of the things that we always want people to get in touch and get involved. So just because that's a barrier from actually being a formal board member doesn't necessarily mean we don't want to hear your opinions. Of course, we want to hear your opinions because we want to make sure Staffordshire Wildlife Trust is the best it can be. And then, of course, if you are above 18, then we do, of course, want to encourage you to think about becoming a trustee anyway.
Yeah, fantastic. Oh, brilliant. So finally, going back to the Transform and the Trent Valley project, why are schemes and projects like this important for helping an organisation carry out its aims and meet its objectives?
Well, it's very important for a number of reasons. The one that jumps to mind is around building partnerships with the local organisations. So I think there's 18 partners on this particular project, which is it's massive for most projects that we do. So that actually helps us build our overall conservation strategy. And one of the things that we're actually looking into is the nature recovery networks and connecting it with the entire of the county. So this project is fundamentally important to do that.
Yeah. And actually, I am employed by Support Staffordshire, so even this conversation is a partnership really between two organisations, isn't it?
Exactly, and if you look at the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, partnership is one of those goals, and it's so important for everything that we do.
It is, yeah. That's fantastic. Well, thank you very much for your time, Elliott. That's a really good quick overview of what trustees do and what boards do. So if anyone is watching and has any more questions, then please comment or send us an email, and I'm sure Elliott would be happy to answer any more follow-up questions about this.
I'd be delighted to. Thank you so much, Nicola.
Brilliant. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.